So our plan for the day is we're going to build a router sled. It's the second part of the project for building our nice coffee tables from the slabs that we got out of the woodshed treasure hunt project. The idea is to be able to take this router and mount it on a sled so that we can take and run it across and flatten the entire slab out, because the slabs are currently a little bit rough and not easily finished in their current condition. So we're going to make a mount for this router. It's going to have a set of rollers that will go to the length of the slab, and it'll have a gantry that goes across the slab, and the router can roll around on it but stay dead flat, and then the whole surface of the slab will be flat. We'll be able to flip it over and flatten both sides of the slab. So the current plan is to build the sled for that, because neither of us have one. I was going to run it up the entire thing on rails, so there'd be a couple rails that went lengthwise with the slab, and then there'd be rails for the gantry. But what I'm actually going to do now is I'm going to take this old set of skateboard wheels, take them off the trucks, and I'm going to make a set of rollers that look like T's. So there'll be a couple plates that go down, and then there'll be a set of rollers on the bottom. They'll be about 3 feet apart, I think, to get a good span. And then those will sit on the ground, so you have to have it on a smooth surface, but it'll work. You have to go on the ground, and then the top will have the gantry that goes over. So, and then the inside of that set of rails, the gantry will be a set of angles, and inside of that will make a plate that this clamps to. So that's the plan. We're going to see if we can pull it off. I've got my milling machine warming up over there. I'm working in my machine shop today, so we'll have the tools we need. So this is a really cool tool, and so I wanted to show it to you for tapping these parts, and it makes a nice straight tap into the part, which is always hard to get on one of these surfaces lined up at an angle, and it's really quick for if you have to do a lot of parts. So it's obviously Tapmatic. I can increase the tension with this knob here, right, and then the tap is on a spring so that when you, and it's got a clutch in there as well. This just tightens the clutch, and so this will stop if you have to whatever setting you have it at. I've got it set pretty stiff right now. I'm going to put a little tap oil on here. I'll show you how it And that's it. Sweet, huh? So here we go. Here's our rails. Next step will be the gantry. So you can see how nice those, nice and smooth. That should give us a good router base, as long as our floor is fairly clean, smooth. The flats of the tires, I didn't think about it, but the flats of the tires are going to be real handy. These, they'll keep them kind of level. But this will be probably 5 feet apart for the gantry, maybe 4. I just haven't decided yet, but I think I'll about go 5 feet. So at the uprights, gantry goes over, router goes in the middle. So I'm on day 2 of the project here. Got like 4 hours in last night, and got these rails done for the sliders on the base, the main ones. I had to add a couple extra holes on each side for whatever I'm doing. The next part is I need to do some vertical uprights to make the to build a portion of the gantry. I was going to originally use plates on the sides. The plates would clamp to this piece here and go upwards, and then have a series of holes so I could change the height on the gantry. But I was afraid that the plates would vibrate too much from the router. So instead I'm going to use some angled aluminum, and I'm going to drill it to mount to the set of holes down here, and then on the other flat surface I'm going to put a series of holes for the gantry where it goes across, and then there will be another piece like that that'll carry the gantry. So I got to cut a bunch of these out. I already had some in the scrap pile from some of them come with extra holes that they started with, but we'll see what I can use. But I've got 2 cut already. I need 4 of these. I need 2 pieces for the gantry, the part that goes across to hold the sled, that are going to be 5 feet, so I get a good span on them. And then I'm going to need 2 of them that are in this range. So I've already got 1 cut. This is 7 inches already, so I think I only need 6. So that's where I'm going to start. Get a couple of these cut out on the bandsaw over here. We've got our cut-off bandsaw here, and then we'll move on from there. So this here's my baby. It's a Urco VMX 24 milling machine, or machining center. I got it in like 2008 or so. So it's 2008 or 2009 model, but it's a full industrial CNC milling machine. I'm gonna do some programming and I set it up to drill the holes in these. I'm gonna have them come in. It'll come up and finish these edges off. I left these a little long so I can clean the rough edges off. It's a little sharp right now. And I'm gonna put a string of holes up the vertical on them so that I can bolt them onto my plates back there. So I'm gonna move on to that section, and then I'll do the cross pieces and the long slot parts of the gantry. Just so you guys know what I'm doing here, I did the others in a rapid motion there, but I'm cutting this. I've got the final. I've got 4 of these cut out, or 3 of them so far. And if you notice, they're reversed, so that when I put them on the machine or onto my part, they are symmetrical. Okay, so you got to make sure when you're cutting parts like this that have an angle, that you make sure that if you want the angles on the outside or the angles on the inside, or both in the same direction, that you cut it that way. So I've done it a lot where I messed that up. But so I'm on the last part. I'm going to put it in here and so you guys can kind of see what I'm doing. I'm going to use the machine to set the part in the right spot. So I'm going to start on my final part. Okay, so the tool's down there. That's where this is cutting a 0 surface. So if I bring my part up to that tool, I know that I'm cutting on the 0 surface. And I can just slide over a tiny bit. Make sure I'm nice and tight. I left these parts, I've cut them 14 inches. I left them a little long, about 1/8 of an inch, so I can trim some off each side. Okay, so now the machine's going to come in and it's going to drill a set of holes for all the carrier holes. I'm dialing this program in, it should all automatically run. Use a little oil. You can see that I've got this part hanging out a little far. If I was going to do a whole bunch of these, I'd support it better. But so the part's hanging out a little far and it's causing it to flex just a little bit, but it's not a super super precise part, so I don't really care that much. Once again, I'm using that center drill because it creates a nice straight hole in exactly the right spot. It doesn't wander around. A long drill bit will flex when you press it into material sometimes. This is a size F drill bit for a 5/16 18 tap. The 5/16 18 tap, I'm going to put some tap fluid on top of one. This next step is going to drill the holes out on this end, slightly undersized for a 5/16 bolt, and then I'm going to have a reamer come through and clean the holes so the holes are exactly the right size, because I want them to be really precise, each vertical. Reamer runs at really low RPM, and when it gets down to the bottom of the hole, it stays there for a second and then it comes back out. The final step finishes the ends off. Cut it to length, 14 inches. I have to do this pretty slow because if that part hanging out there, it'll pop it out of the pipe. So I'm cutting a little itty bitty steps. Even if these ends weren't finished, this part would work, but this wouldn't be as pretty. So here I've got my router plate down now. Clamps, screw holes for the clamps. I had to do a little bit of chop and change on it to get it to fit right. But the bearings will mount up on these 1032 screws, and those will recess into these slots, slide on the rail, and then the other bearings will mount on number 6, or 6mm, because they're metric bearings they have, and those will go here, and they will hold it within the track side to side. These bolts are too long, obviously, and then I had to recess the bottom here so that these nuts would stay. I'm going to go put this thing together and we'll see how it goes. Oh yeah, got one router sled. So there it is. Not perfect. We had our bit creep out of our jaws a little bit. But we're going to take our bigger 2-inch bit and finish it off once we get an extender for it. But it does work. It'll take some practice.